Hey everybody, Captures That Plays here, back with some more Civilization 7, but this time we are going to be talking about how to win the game. And so I have pulled up here a game of Ben Franklin right before Operation Ivy wins us the game, but I pulled up the Civilopedia to walk you through each of the legacy paths and how you actually win the game. So we're going to start in the Antiquity Age. So here for the cultural path, you have Wonders of the Ancient World, which is you get 7 wonders and you get a golden age. 2 wonders is a point. Then I believe it's 4 wonders is another point, and then 7 wonders is your final golden age for cultural during the antiquity age. If you don't get any of them, this is true for all of them. If you don't get a single point on any legacy path at any point in the game, you go into a dark age. Okay. So that's how that works. And check out the Civilopedia. It gives you some good information about what do the golden ages and things give you. Next up, in the Antiquity Age, we have the military legacy path, Pax Imperatoria. And so basically, it means you have to have a empire that consists of 12 cities or towns if you built them. You don't have to build them all. If you capture some of them, they count as double. So for instance, you could have 6 cities or towns of your own and capture 3. Those 3 count as 2 each, giving you total. Again, after several cities, you get 1 point, and then some more, you get a second, and then some more, you get your final point. This one's pretty good. It is really front-loaded that you have to have like 6 cities to get even 1 point, and then 3 and 3 for your final points. In science, it's you just got to go through the tech tree. There's some narratives that will pop up, but go through the tech tree and focus on getting the codices or the codex for individual ones that come up. You can get them through city-state bonuses and the Nalanda Wonder and other things. So that one's pretty straightforward, but you have to build your libraries and your other science buildings and specific buildings that can hold relics to display them. It's not just having them in your empire, it's displaying them, as it says right here. You have to display them. So again, this one is kind of spread out pretty even, like I think it's like 4-3-3, something like that. But this happens naturally. If you're focused on science, you'll get this pretty easily. And then antiquity is Silk Roads. It's just having 20 resources assigned to your settlement. This again will happen kind of naturally along with Pax Imperatoria and the Great Library, just as you're playing the game, playing it right, and you are settling near resources, claiming resources, this will happen. You do have to keep in mind that some resources are only for cities, and some are only for towns, so keep that in mind, because they have to be slotted in. And when you transition to the exploration age, what you start having is your culture path becomes the Toshakana, and so in the Toshakana you have to have relics. You get relics from certain narrative events and different things, but the biggest way is going to be from your religion. Excuse me. And so in your religion, you have your reliquary belief, and that's what gives you your relics. To me, the easiest one is 2 relics for the first time conversion of a city-state. That is, unless people just take out city-states before you get to them. But usually the AI is pretty good now about not taking out city-states or intimate people. Go for that one. Makes it really easy. The other ones, depending on your game, you need to make sure you pick accordingly. So this can be difficult because if you get it too fast, you may not know like which one you should go for. But if you get too late, you may not get the one you want. So it can be a little difficult, but it's pretty easy. After that, once you have your religion unlocked and your reliquary belief, just do what it says. You get your relics. Now, your antiquity, or not your antiquity age, your exploration age next is your treasure fleet. Your treasure fleet, you have to have 30 treasure fleet points by returning treasures from distant lands. And by the way, all of these, they give you good step by step. I'll show you in a minute when we're done going over these. Like, you can pin them, the next step you need to do along your way to help you if you're learning or if you're just unsure what I need to do next to get towards my goal of whatever it is. I often pin my 1 or 2 that I'm absolutely focused on, and if the others happen, they happen. So the way the treasure fleets work is you've got to go to distant lands and have a settlement near a certain treasure resource. You can hover over them and they'll tell you, but it's usually stuff like chocolate, tea, coffee, stuff like this, tobacco that you'll need to send back. And here in this little blurb, it does a pretty good job summarizing about you need a fishing key, you've got to have shipbuilding so that your ships can traverse the deep oceans without being damaged. And then what I find is if that settlement, city or town, doesn't matter, has the higher the production, the faster these treasure fleets are made. And so then the faster you go. And so basically what it is if your town has one treasure fleet resource, that treasure fleet will only count as one. But if a town right next to it has 3 treasure fleet resources, that one will count as 3. So you kind of have to pick and choose what you want to do, like as far as settlement location. If you're going for other victory conditions along with this one, it's not a bad idea to only have 1 or 2 resources per city, so that you just have this trickle of treasure fleets coming in, so that you have time to do the other ones. But that should be pretty easy. At least to get 1 point, so you avoid a dark age. Okay, so by the way, the dark ages can be helpful. I've been looking into those, about playing some of those. The problem is, like, you really have to focus on the dark age to achieve it. The only exception may be Wonders of the Ancient World. Just don't build any, and you'll be in a dark age. The other ones can be a little bit more difficult to achieve, depending on how you're playing. So next we go into exploration, non-sophisticate orbis. So this is to get 12 points from settlements in distant lands. And it's very simple. Each settlement is 1 point. It gets doubled if that settlement was either conquered or it follows your religion. So you go found a city and then convert it to your religion. That's 2 points. Hey, you only need 6 of those. You go and conquer 6 cities or some combination. But they're quadrupled if both conditions are met. So one thing I like to do, I did an early playthrough, was I got an extra belief from my religion that automatically conquered a city. Or sorry, when I conquered a city, it automatically converted it to my religion. And so what that means is I just needed, this is quadruple, so 4 times. I just needed 3 cities, and I got that golden age. You know, so there's many ways to go about doing it. Conquer and then convert. Have a missionary on standby. So that's that. One thing that could be good, I'll do like this. This is the main one I've been thinking about, is for the next age. If I want to do a military victory, like a comeback story in the modern age. In the Dark Age, all commanders get 2 free levels, and new commanders start with 2 additional levels. But all military units have a 25% increase in cost. Now, I think that's probably pretty worth it, especially since I'm going to be focusing naturally on the economic. That's not gonna cause a problem. That's one of those that, as an example, I'm focused on maybe playing around and doing intentional Dark Age with. But that's another video for another time. Let's keep going. Exploration Age, Enlightenment, the science focus. This one is pretty hard because you have to be focused on it all game, even as you're going through your steps to get to your specialists and everything. And so this says you have to have 5 districts that are not your city center, producing a total of 40 yield. It can be any combination of 40 yield, and you have to get education. So you get a number of specialists to assign to a single location. And there's other ways to get more specialists to those locations. But the problem is you have to be focused from really, this relatively start of the age of putting your orders together in such a way that you're going to have high yield and high adjacency to make that easier. Now, as you go along, certain civics and techs that you unlock make it easier because you'll get +1 gold to all adjacencies, +1 food to all adjacencies, things like this that will naturally buff up the yields. But it's easier if you kind of plan it out ahead of time. Now moving into the modern age, Railroad Tycoon. So this one's pretty straightforward. They have since updated this, so it's going to take more points. But it's fairly easy. You research down to industrialization, get rail stations, then you get mass production to get factories. Then after building your factories, you slot in your resources that are called factory resources, and every turn you get points towards this. So if you only have, like I did, I'll show you in a second, 4 citrus in a factory every turn, that's 4 points out of 500, 600, whatever it is now, towards that victory. So obviously, the more cities, the more factories, the more resources, the faster that this will be achieved. And then at the end, you get a guy who goes around and sets up the World Bank, but he has to go to every capital, spend Diplo and gold at each capital to get them on board with it. And then once you get all of them, you win economic victory. For modern military, that is going to be the ideology. You have to get 20 points, and this is for by conquering settlements for the first time. So you get 1 point before adopting an ideology, just nothing. So you might want to wait a little bit. 2 points after adopting one. Okay, pretty cool. Then 3 points after capturing one from a civilization that follows a different ideology. So to get this one, you're going to have have some combination of the best or these last two, obviously. So you're going to have around 10 or less cities that you have to conquer some way, somehow to get this victory point. I still believe founding your own city counts as one. I haven't done this one in a while, so since this game that I'm loaded into, so please forgive me on that. But it goes through, tells you how to do that. It's really straightforward. Research political theory, then pick democracy, fascism, communism. Now you have your ideology. Go to war, get all these points, win. Modern space race. This one's also pretty straightforward. As you're going through the science tree, you're gonna towards the end you're gonna start unlocking different space race projects like flight, and then transoceanic flight, and then aerodynamics. Or sorry, break the sound barrier. And to do this, you've got to um, research certain things like flight, aerodynamics, and then sorry, get myself tongue tied. Read this. I'm dumb. Okay, just read this. You got to research flight. Okay, construct an aerodrome. Complete this project. Then research aerodynamics to complete this project. Then research rocketry, build a launch pad, and then do this project. And then you can launch to space and you'll win. I don't know why that's so hard for me. I just gotta read what's in front of me, but that is why I am Casual Dad. Okay, so sorry about that. Now to modern culture victory, the geographic society. This is real confusing sometimes because you use an explorer in the modern age to dig up things from the antiquity age. It's just confusing. But anyways, this one's super straightforward. You gotta have 15 artifacts housed in your empire. You gotta have the buildings that can hold artifacts. You gotta get 15. Most of these will come from researching the natural history civic, and then you get an explorer that goes out and finds these artifacts. Okay, you can get some from narrative events, but most of the time you're gonna go get them from these places. They have their own view that highlight where you've got to go to excavate them, and then you'll want to also go towards hegemony so that you can then excavate ruins from the exploration age to get some, and then if you do the mastering of the natural history civic, you can actually go up to a natural wonder and get one. That's pretty handy. So you may be wondering, well, what the heck is all this good for, right? And so what it's all good for is the more points you have, the easier it is to win the game. First off, if nobody does anything by the end of the modern age currently, it's whoever has the most legacy points wins. That's how it's applied. But if you have if you've gone a golden age in any victory type versus a dark age in any victory type, the whole game, all 3 ages. So let's just say I have cultural golden age, the military dark age, every age of the game. Okay, but I still want to do a military victory. That is possible. You can at the end of the game, you can pick whatever victory condition you want, assuming you've finished that legacy path in the modern age. The problem is, it's going to be very difficult to do that because the more legacy points you have, the cheaper and easier it is to do that win condition. Let's see if they put it in here. They don't. They don't really put it in here, but I've seen it where, uh, how many legacy points you have for each, way of winning. The production for Operation Ivy changes. The production for the space flight changes. The production for the World's Fair changes. The amount of gold and Diplo needed for the World Bank changes. And so I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm coming here to age progress, then rankings, and then legacy points. So as you can see, I'm just outstripping them all. I've got 31 total points. I'm about to win the game. So because my science is not great, I did not do a good job with Ben Franklin because we had to spend a bunch of time at war with this game, unfortunately. This took a while to get the space race going. The only reason it's so close to the military one is because I wanted to wait and nuke everybody in this game. I show it on this game on my channel, so go back and look at it. It's really interesting, nuking the whole world, then finishing Project Ivy to win the game. That's the only reason it's close. But in a normal game, if this is my science, I'm not going science. I'm going economic, military, or culture. Actually, in this game, the economic was completed probably 30% into the age. Could have easily done the World Banker. I had him just in case somebody was going to do something. I had him do all of the leaders except for one, and just put him to sleep so that just in case I was having troubles, I could do that. But for instance, Himiko, really good science. If we go back here, let's look at the rankings. He's actually beating me on the space race projects. Okay. Part of that's because I'm just taking so long because I had a goal in mind. But also, what makes it easier is she's got way more science points than I do. Okay, so that makes it easier. She would not be very good at any of these others. A real clear example is Jose and Isabella. Their military is super low and their economy is very low, so this would not be good for them. Or Frederic, he should not go for the cultural victory. He's got no cultural legacy points. Okay, so the more legacy points you have, the cheaper it is to do the final win condition project, and that's how you win the game. So you can go through the game, antiquity, age. Oh, I'm just focused on my science and economic, but then you get to exploration age, and depending on how the game's going, you're like, dang it, I've got to switch to military, but I'm going to pair that with my religion so that when I take over stuff, it converts for me, helps me out with that because people are just encroaching what I want to do. And then right before the age ends, you get some economic points, but your science kind of suffers. And then you get to the modern age, and you kind of have an even distribution, like I do, of points, and you're just like, well, let's see where I'm set up pretty good and go from there. Then maybe at the very end you're pushed into science because your economic is going good to build buildings and get your science producing, and you're getting your specialists. But you just forget to do the railroad tycoon steps to start getting the victory conditions, and you look up and 30%, 40% through the age, you're like, well, I'm almost done with the science. I might as well focus on that. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of ways to play. You can go on the focus of economic from the get go, military from the get go, whatever you want to do. That's what I really like about Civ 7 and win conditions is that it's really flexible, a lot more than I felt like it was in Civ 6. Now, I understand they're very similar in the fact that for culture and science, that they're pretty straightforward. I just felt like in Civ 6, the culture you had it was cool because you had a whole bunch of ways to win culture victory, right? Like you could do it any number of ways with the biosphere trick or with, um, you could do it with only rock bands or your religion. Like there's just a bunch of different ways in Civ 6, but it was rather straightforward. You didn't have to think about it too much unless you're doing something special. Um, as far as your cultural victory. And science was also the same. It's just, research these things, build these things, you win, the game. You know, you can feed along with your laser projects there at the end, but mostly it's just straightforward. And so I like this where you can, even though they're straightforward, there's still flexibility of I don't have to be focused on culture or science or military or economic the whole game. You can just kind of do what you want, have more of a free flowing game of what happens, and I will show you like an example on this game. I really wanted to just focus economic and science. Ben Franklin's really good at science and diplomacy. I was going to use city states to really help me get ahead and stay ahead. But from the get go, we had war after war after war. So there's actually somebody missing because he got kicked out of the game. That was over here. It was Tecumseh or Patrick Cutie. I can't remember which one. Um, you know, originally Machiavelli had pushed up here. I burned his cities down to push him back. I came down here to take this guy out of the game, and then started fighting against Frederick. So there was a lot of fighting. A lot of fighting I did not want to do in this game. But you know, it is what it is. I fought against Himiko because she's always progressing up next to me. But it's fine. It's okay. Because we ended up winning the game. I just didn't win it the way I thought I was going to win. We did a military victory instead. So, you know, things like that can happen. I came in with a plan of economic science and had to do more of a economic military victory just because of the way the game worked out. So don't be afraid. The point is, don't be afraid to just mold yourself to the game, to just change things up based on how the AI is acting and what's going on and how your resources are laid out and all those kinds of things. But now you know that if you do switch, you know, try to make it switch to somewhere that you have a lot of legacy points. That's going to help you in the end and do those victory conditions faster. So that's what I got for you guys. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you found this helpful and informative for learning how to win more, not easily, because that kind of takes fun out of it, but you know, it makes it clear of like, what do I need to do to win a game of Civ 7? So this has been Captain That Plays for Civilization 7. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.